Hello everyone, greetings from Mother Earth News. I'm Rebecca, this is Karen, and over there with Peppers is Connie. And we are here today because we have a lot of tomatoes we have to deal with. We're going to show you a few things that we like to do with a surfeit of tomatoes. I think most of these are from Connie's garden, is that right?
Yes.
And so we have a mix of varieties, and I think the peppers are from your garden or your mom's.
My
yeah.
mom's.
So we got a lot of local stuff, and we're going to cover a lot of ground today about things you can do with excess tomatoes this time of the year. They're really coming in great here. We're coming at you from Kansas, and we've had a really great August and September, and so look what we have to deal with. So I think maybe while you ladies can get started on salsa, I'm going to show people how to use this squeeze-o strainer that we have here that is a great way to process tomatoes so that you can make juice for canning, juice for tomato sauce, and a lot of other things. And people, please go ahead and jump in with questions. We'll be able to answer your questions throughout the video. And maybe even we'll give some hints and recipes for really good salsa. Have some pro salsa makers here. So why don't we get started while they're, if you guys want to start chopping up salsa, I can talk a little bit about this strainer. This is a squeeze-o strainer. We got this from Lehman's.com. And if you have as many tomatoes as we do to process and you want to make tomato sauce, tomato juice, this will save you no end of headaches and hours. The way the machine works is it's got a hopper here and a spiral rod in there and a strainer that they call a sleeve, and the sleeve has holes in it. I'm going to lick my finger. It tastes like fresh tomatoes. The spiral processes the tomatoes, and the juice, and it's kind of a pulpy juice, comes out. You catch it in this bowl, and then in this bowl you'll catch the skins and the seeds. And I'm just going to start twisting this so you can see how slick this is. If I was processing this many tomatoes at home, I'd probably have a hot water bath. I'd have to slip the skins off. I'd be sweating a lot. And I'm just very comfortable right in here, at least until we start chopping the peppers and onions. I'm just really going to town with this squeeze-o strainer. And look at the juice rolling out really fast. It's kind of a pulpy juice. Now, a lot of people like to cook this down a little bit and make it into sauce, add herbs and spices to it, and then can it. You could also just drink this fresh as tomato juice. You might prefer a little bit of cooking with a little bit of spices in it, but it's kind of a thick, pulpy juice, perfect for salsas. And you can fill the hopper, I think about half to 2/3 full. Is that right, Connie? Is that what you remember?
Yes.
But look at that juice pouring out. Again, this is a squeeze-o strainer, available from Lehman's, and perfect for processing a lot of tomatoes. They also have some screens that will work, that have larger holes in them, and they'll work for berries. Really great if you're processing a lot of berries for jams and jellies. And also pumpkin. There's a pumpkin-sized strainer that you can get. The holes are bigger on that. You can also use that to process cooked apples as well as cooked pumpkin. People love to use that big hole strainer and make their own baby food.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it's great. You can also use the bigger hole strainer with tomatoes if you want something chunkier for salsa. And again, this is the squeeze-o strainer. You can get this from Lehman's.com, and it's perfect for off-grid living and people who have to process a lot of, I just squirted myself, a lot of fruit and tomatoes and pumpkins. How are you ladies doing?
Pretty good. I'm about to start on the jalapenos, so
Okay, I'm
I
jumping
hope you're
tomatoes.
ready.
We have a lot of tomatoes here today. Tomatoes are coming in really great in the gardens. And so I'm Rebecca with Mother Earth News. This is Karen and Connie, and these are Connie's tomatoes. What did you say in terms of varieties tomatoes?
I know one of them is Aroma, and then there was one that was called a 4th of July. It's supposed to be an early tomato.
You're using most of the more pulpier varieties for salsa, right? And I'm
Most
using
of these are the
juicy
4th of
ones.
July.
Okay.
They are later than 4th of July since we got our garden in later, but
And Heidi Hunt commented, wow, great looking tomatoes and kitchen workers.
Thank you, Heidi.
We know her.
We do know Heidi.
Now, question for you guys. Do you guys take off the seeds when you make your salsa, or do you guys keep them?
yes.
I take them off,
You do?
but you probably keep them in.
I do.
Yeah, you
Gotta
do.
keep
I do.
them in.
You like it
Yeah,
hot.
you like it
I
hot,
love hot salsa, yeah. I don't know, maybe we need to make 2 batches, one that's not spicy and one that's spicy.
So we're making salsa for the office today. So yeah, what are we gonna do? Go really spicy with it?
We'll have to
I think
warm.
these peppers are pretty hot already.
Are they really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So I would advise probably to take this.
Take them off.
So do you two can salsa?
I do not. I usually always make it fresh, and it usually is the first thing to go at my house because we just love making it every week. Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience in canning. I think primarily in Mexico, where I grew up and learned to make salsa, we don't ever really can food. I mean, that's just not really like a thing that people do. So
Is that because you have fresh food year round?
yeah, I
Pretty
think
much.
that's why. And you know, you're picking off the stuff right off your backyard.
Sure.
Avocados are right off your backyard. So we really always had fresh salsa. Now, my grandma always made these salsas that would take her hours, where she would steam everything and peel everything. And so that's way more consuming. I don't really do a lot of that, but I really would like to get into it. I think it's more because of like the experience of what it's like, and then the taste that you get out of it is amazing.
Yes, amazing taste. If you don't have a strainer like this and you want to make some salsa, chunky salsa, one great way to get rid of the skins on tomatoes without slaving over a hot water bath, because you know you have to pop these into boiling water until the skins crack and then slip off the skins, and it gets pretty hot up here and in Mexico too.
Yeah.
I often just take mine and throw them in the freezer, because I know I'm going to cook them. I'm going to make them into a cooked salsa, a canned salsa. And then when I take them out of the freezer and thaw them, the flesh has expanded because it's frozen. The skins are cracked, the skins slip right off, and I avoid all of that sweating over a hot water bath.
Do you think that changes the taste?
I
at
think
all?
it does. We were talking before about how maybe your grandmother's sweat really added something to the flavor of the salsa.
So Melanie and Dave wanted to know about the food mill. They're just joining us.
The food mill, Melanie and Dave, hi, how are you? Is a squeezo strainer, and it's sold by Lehman's, Lehmans. I'm sure we have somebody who's posting the link. The mill has, you can buy the basic mill. It comes just with the tomato sleeve right here. If you come in, you can see this is, inside there is, like I have to lick my finger. Inside there is a corkscrew that breaks apart the tomatoes, and the pulp and juice come out through the holes, drain out here into a bowl. And on this side is where you have the seeds and the skins. Now you can either compost the seeds and the skins, or we know a lot of people like to dehydrate them. You could pick out some of the browner parts where the stems were. Dehydrate it with spices, maybe some sesame seeds, and then you can crumble that up into a powder and add it to soups. Just eat it as a snack. So the idea is you don't want to waste anything, obviously. And then I'm going to have to lick my fingers again. Sorry. You can also buy 2 other different versions of this sleeve with larger holes. One is for processing berries, and the largest holed one is for processing pumpkin and apples into, say, applesauce. This is a hand crank unit, which is great for off-grid people. I've seen videos on YouTube where people actually figured out how to mechanize this with an electric drill. But really, it's not too onerous just doing it by hand. Did that answer your question? Again, it's a Squeezo strainer, Squeezo food mill, and is available from Layman's.com. Or I think you can also order it from the Squeezo website.
You can. Andy commented that she's watching this and she should be picking her tomatoes to make salsa. She's gonna watch this first.
Okay, well, Andy, you might get some ideas for salsa recipes from our two salsa experts over here, Karen and Connie. You guys talk a little bit about what you like to put in salsa.
I can tell you what I pretty much do like every time just because that's my go-to, but I use a food processor. Just makes it easier to do. And so what I do is I like it really spicy, so sometimes I throw in 5 or 6 jalapenos, and then my tomatoes that I usually get. I'm not really picky about tomatoes just because I get them from our CSA, and so just whatever they give me is what I use. But the things that I like to put in there are, and correct me if I'm saying this wrong, cumin is one of the things that I put in there that makes the flavor a lot better, I think. And then black pepper, of course, salt, and a lot of lime is what I do.
Is it fresh salsa that you make?
I do it, yeah, it's fresh. And then I do kind of have a little bit of a trick with tomatoes. So I use, because I don't do the whole like steaming the tomato or taking off the skin, I usually use tomato sauce. So if you have tomato sauce that you've made yourself, you can throw in a little bit, and it just makes the consistency a lot better. And that's just a quick way to make salsa, because I make it so much that I have to have an easy, quick way to do it.
How about you, Connie? Do you can salsa?
I have in the past. I didn't do any this year, but I usually put green peppers, onions, cayenne pepper. I have one recipe where you add cinnamon.
Yeah,
It's
I've
a
done that
sweeter
before.
sugar, yeah.
It's so good.
Uh-huh.
And what kind of flavor can you taste the cinnamon, or does it
It's a
just highlight?
It's a sweeter salsa. I like doing the fresh salsa. I think everybody here likes it. So-
Yes, everybody here's going to get that bowl of salsa after the video's over.
Yeah. You know, I use cinnamon in chili a lot.
Do you?
Yeah, I just like the taste that it brings.
Pamela commented that this is the most gorgeous thing she's seen all day.
Oh, thank you.
Well, aren't we glad?
The tomatoes are beautiful, aren't they? They're coming in so crazy this time of the year. These tomatoes came from Connie's garden. Connie's one of our salsa makers. And we have some Roma tomatoes and some larger tomatoes. These are really well suited to the juice making because they're so juicy, whereas the Romas and the meatier tomatoes are perfect for salsa because you want a lot of flesh for tomato flesh if you want chunky salsa. And if you look in here too, you can see the strainer I'm using, the Squeezo strainer, produces a really nice kind of thick juice. That is going to be perfect for making sauce with. Tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce. A lot of people can it, so you do a little cooking, add some herbs and spices to it, and can it so you could put it up for a taste of summer in the depths of winter. There's nothing like homegrown tomatoes. And again, you can get this mill from Squeezo, Layman's.com. Sells it. Layman's provided this Squeezo mill for us today, and Connie provided the tomatoes. And you said there's some 4th of July tomatoes in here.
The smaller ones, the small round ones.
And what else?
Roma.
Roma and
We usually, I can't remember what other ones we bought this year,
but a lot of them. There's a lot of them. I wish you could smell these. I'm sure you all know what fresh tomatoes smell like, but the whole room is permeated with that wonderful smell. And Karen, I'm not crying yet from the peppers. Are they very hot?
I can't tell yet. I
You
feel like
gotta just pop one in your mouth.
You do want her to cry, don't you?
I think I can handle it.
Rebecca, how
I
much
feel like not
pressure
everybody wants me to
are
do
you
it.
putting down on that?
Oh, I'm not putting that much pressure on it. I'm just trying to feed the tomatoes into the hopper. I'm probably using more pressure than I normally would, just because, trying to make it look really great for the camera. But All I'm trying to do is force the tomatoes down to the center of the mill. So the hopper, so this is the hopper, so that they will get into the mill and be processed into juice. And then if you look over here, we have the skins and the seeds issue from this side of the mill. And a lot of people like to dry those and spice them, dry them in a dehydrator, and then you can crumble them up and put them into soups and stews, or you can just eat them as a snack.
So a question, did you say the skins are taken off before straining?
No, the skins, the mill itself, the squeezo strainer, actually removes the skins for you. So I'm putting whole tomatoes into the hopper, and what comes out is juice, pulpy juice, and then the skins and the seeds. They're separated by the mill, which is why people love their squeezos. Many canners, many people who process multiple bushels of fruit, berries, tomatoes, even large pumpkins and squash, which you have to cook before you run through here. You do not have to separate the seeds or the skins. The mill does it for you. So it makes it so much faster and easier for you if you're going to be processing and then canning a lot of produce. So you can get 3 different sieves or sleeves for the mill, one for tomatoes, and these are very liquidy tomatoes, obviously. We probably wouldn't put Romas or meaty, fleshy tomatoes through here because they don't have as much juice. We're saving those tomatoes for the salsa. And then you can also buy a berry sleeve, and you can also buy a pumpkin or apple sleeve. It has larger holes so it lets more pulp through. So if you wanted to try and make salsa with the squeezo, you could use that pumpkin sleeve and it would be a lot pulpier. And the ladies over here are making salsa. They're using some spinner choppers, which, oh my gosh, that is really saving you a lot of
I
time.
actually really want one of these now because this would be a fun experience. Yeah. And then something I don't know what people do with them. It's a lime, right?
Yeah.
So a lime is a lemon in Spanish, and a lemon is a lime. So I never get it right. So I always just squeeze them for a while. If I'm going to hand squeeze them, I have a squeezer at home, but I just feel like it gets a lot more juice out of them, and it's a lot easier to squeeze once you cut them up. That's usually what I like to do.
Let's
Look
see.
at that.
Melanie said thank you, Rebecca, that answered her question.
Good, you're welcome.
And Bob wanted to know if you could put carrots in any of this.
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't know about carrots. I think maybe if I was trying carrots, I might cook them first because if you're trying to process like apples or something that's a heavier, meatier flesh, because tomatoes are very loose, berries are very loose, I would probably cook them a little bit first and then try it. Obviously you're going to want to process something like you would with a juicer that's got a fair amount of liquid in it because the whole point of this is to separate the juice from the pulp and then use them both in different ways. You could compost the pulp and the seeds, but a lot of people use a dehydrator, dry them, and then spice it and sprinkle it, crumble it up and sprinkle it in soups, or just eat it dehydrated.
So something we will be composting is this stuff in here.
Yeah. Yep, because we don't want to eat raw or dried jalapenos right now, straight, right?
No,
Not right now.
not right now. I don't really feel like doing that.
Are there any other questions from our viewers?
No, there's a few people that are very concerned about Connie not having a cutting board, so I'm going to
Oh,
make it real fast.
I was gonna say, don't try this at home because Connie was being really brave.
Sounds good. She's pro. Again, this is the squeezo strainer, food mill. And I don't know, am I getting anything coming out there? It's
She's a
probably
pro.
about time to actually clean this. We're getting a little juicy. Myself.
Be good, Josh. Connie has a cutting board now for everyone that's so upset.
DIY. Oh, okay, I'm getting the onions now.
Yeah.
Are you?
Uh-huh.
I don't think my trick worked.
Connie tried a trick, and I just want to ask our audience if they have any tricks to not cry.
Yeah.
I use cold water. I don't know if that really works. It's just something I do, but maybe it doesn't work. But maybe I've just gotten immune to onions because I use a lot of onions all the time. I think white onions are a lot more.
Yeah, I think this is gonna make me cry.
You're gonna cry.
I think so.
See, the knife is not hurting her, but
We don't get to get on the camera.
They do get to eat the salsa though. And I bet they're really looking forward to it because
Yes.
it's smelling so good in here.
So do you want me to pour this in
Yeah.
this one? Okay. I'm going for it. Look how pretty it looks. I just love all the colors that you get from salsa.
So somebody asked about the juice from the strainer. I mean, you could drink it fresh out of here. It's pretty thick. It's kind of pulpy. It's kind of like the juice my mom used to can. You have the pulpy stuff at the top and then the clear at the bottom.
I love that.
It's very, yeah, it's almost like a meal. It tastes very fresh, so I would probably cook it a little bit with some spices. And maybe can it as a juice, or as a tomato sauce. Boil it down with some really good spices and peppers, and can it for tomato sauce.
I would just drink it up with
And
some lime.
you could drink it with beer.
Oh yes, for sure, and lime.
Well, first we've got to get a beer brewing kit,
Yeah,
and then we got to brew our own beer, and then we can drink the beer.
And then we can
Okay.
drink it.
Did you have a question, Josh? Did somebody have a question?
Oh, Lori said that her trick for not crying is she tries not to cut the root end of the onion.
And I did that.
That's what she was trying to do, yeah.
I'm not crying, Connie.
Oh, I am.
It just are you?
about.
So what all have you put in there in the salsa? Can you tell me a bit?
Tomatoes, onions, peppers, cilantro. We're gonna add garlic and salt and lime.
And I put up some
So
more pepper.
it's obviously really chunky because you used some tomatoes that are meatier
Yes,
or
it's very,
fleshier.
it's chunky. It's chunky.
Do you want any of the juice I've been making in there?
No, I
You think
tend
it's-
to not like to add any juice
Okay.
to it because it does make it too runny.
Yeah,
So,
okay,
but,
great. Are we ready to do a taste test or do you?
I doubt it.
No?
Yeah,
Okay.
probably don't have all the tomatoes in there.
Just a little bit more.
Spoon.
Oh, yeah.
Here, let me do one that you can really see the seeds. You can also rinse these with water whenever I take the seeds out. If somebody doesn't like spicy, I usually rinse them under cold water and it gets most of them out. So this is probably not going to get everything out, but that does help.
Just got sprayed by whatever you're
sorry.
mixing there.
Oh my gosh, that looks so good.
It does.
I think, Connie, we need to break into the chips.
Okay.
Oh, we have chips. Somebody said we didn't. I was really sad.
Yes.
Good.
Oh, yeah, we get some tortillas.
I haven't had lunch yet, so
Yeah.
so I'm like, this sounds amazing.
All right.
I hope our viewers aren't getting too hungry.
It's that time of the day.
Oh, look, and you're squeezing lime on there?
Here, I'm gonna have you in just
I have before
thing is
used just white
awesome.
vinegar and garlic powder or salt
Uh-huh.
too.
And this is fresh salsa, by the way, folks. This is green peppers, or bell peppers, jalapeno peppers, onion, tomato, and a squeeze of lime and some salt.
Yes.
Did I
And
get
if
everything?
Josh wants to be brave enough to try it, we will be adding more tomatoes to this. But if
Okay.
you'd like to try it,
Sure, I can, or you guys can.
I can try it too.
Yeah.
Do you want to try it?
I'll wait for the more tomatoes because I'm already starting to cough from the pepper.
My eyes are getting a little.
I think somebody who's used to heat should do
Are
well.
you saying
Yeah.
I should do it?
I'll take a bite.
Yeah, you guys.
What about me?
And then I can say whether it has enough.
Uh-oh. Oh,
No, I
man,
love
I've just
lime.
lost
Yeah,
some
here.
chip. Okay. There's more chip.
Okay, let's be sure and get them crying.
get a look on his face because it's going to be warm.
I think it's great. It needs
Yeah.
a little bit of salt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And probably some more lime.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And And lots more tomatoes.
Lots more tomatoes. You want? Oh, you have some.
Maybe we should
there.
wait for the tomatoes once we do that.
So if you're just joining us, we're here in the Mother Earth News offices trying to deal with a bounty of tomatoes because it's that time of the year. So Connie, Karen, and I, Rebecca, are showing you various ways that we're putting up or processing tomatoes, and these ladies just made a delicious looking and smelling salsa. And I'm using this Squeezo strainer to process fresh tomatoes into juice that can be used for drinking or for sauces, or if you like a runny salsa, you could use that too.
That's so good.
The strainer is Squeezo, and it's available from Lehman's.com, and it separates the juice from the skins and the seeds. These are very juicy tomatoes I'm dealing with here, unlike the meatier tomatoes, the varieties that they are using to make salsa from. And they've done a great job.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
So Dustin says that he is drooling on the screen, and Linda says have a squeeze does okay but makes a mess. How do you control the splatter zone? What does our splatter zone look like here?
We have a pretty small splatter zone. We just have a few splatters. You know what? Maybe because we have, I don't know, if because we have the bowl a little bit lower, that it's not. Or are you talking about the splattering in the hopper? Maybe it's the hopper splatter. I'm not sure, but we've been pretty lucky. Actually, I think personally I would just expect to get splattered, and
You're pretty clean though.
I know.
You're a pro at this stuff.
I have a lot of juice in the hopper, and that's kind of controlling the splatters. I'm letting them do most of the work too, over here, most of the
I
chopping.
mean, I guess that's something you could also set up in your porch if you really wanted to.
You could.
I think that's what I would do, and I would just use it as an excuse to be outside.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's where I would grind the chopped onion at too.
That'd be good.
You need like a sleeping porch.
Yeah.
Andrea said she was so pumped by this. She got on there and bought a Squeezo.
Oh,
She's
wait,
ready to
no,
roll.
Gosh.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
She's like buying one.
If you process large amounts of tomatoes and fruit, it's the bomb. It's totally going to help you out in a major way. Also, all of the parts are made in the United States. It's almost all aluminum. The company does recommend when you take it apart to clean it, which I need to do, that before you put it away, you might put a light coat on it of a cooking oil or an olive oil just to keep down the risk of rust. But all the canners I know who are serious in processing massive amounts of produce love their Squeezos. There's nothing else like it out there. And it's hand cranked, so if you're living off grid, or like you say, you can put it up on the porch and just enjoy the shade and a summer drink.
You know, I think, although there is a part of it that can be a little dangerous because it's cutting off, I think it'd be really fun with kids too. To let them try it so
Well,
they can see how it works.
Actually, everything's confined by the sleeves, so there aren't.
You think
The
it'd be
only
okay?
moving part is the hand crank.
Well, I think
so-
it'd be really fun for them to get that experience.
It would be. I agree. So I'm going to add some more tomatoes up here. Again, these are very juicy tomatoes, and the varietals that they're using for the salsa are chunky and fleshy. I think what has happened, I don't want to stick my hand in here right now, but I think I have some skin stuck down here because I'm getting a little bit of backup. But what you'll see is that the skins and the seeds are separated by the mill, and then the juice and a lot of the really great pulp comes out in an opposite direction. So it does all the work for you. Easy to take apart and clean, which I would do if I didn't have a lot of juice backing up in here right now. But it's a great implement. Every canner I know loves the Squeezo.
I was showing Connie a quick trick to crack garlic.
Oh, I haven't tried the salsa yet, may I?
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're an expert at getting the garlic out of there. I've never tried that before.
Really? You can do it the whole way. You just put it in the Your hands do smell like garlic.
That's
But
okay.
if you enjoy the smell of garlic.
I love the smell of salsa.
Okay. There's some heat to that, but it's not overwhelming.
It's not. I think
So-
it's because there's so much of it.
One of our top commenters, Belinda Mullen, says that she thinks she may need one of these to play with. She
Oh.
she said she cans tomato juice as well as salsa and dehydrates the tomato slices and then eats snacks on those.
Yeah. Does she add spices to it? Does she say?
I don't know, Belinda, do you add spices?
To the skins.
Oh, that's
So again, this is a Squeezo mill, and it's available on Lehman's.com. And I just squirted some juice over on the wall, so that is a risk. The mill with really juicy tomatoes like these is great. It separates the juice from the skins and the seeds, so that you don't have to do it by hand. Slaving over a hot stove, a boiling water bath is the usual way you remove skins from tomatoes. This does that for you. No hot water here. Just the nice comfort of the office and the wonderful smell of the salsa these ladies are making. Again, I'm Rebecca with Mother Earth News, and this is Karen and Connie. The tomatoes we're dealing with today are from Connie's garden. She's quite a gardener. We kind of joke we have our own little CSA, but it's free here because Connie comes in and says, "Would you like some tomatoes? How about some squash? How about an Armenian cucumber? Have you ever tried one before?" So today, courtesy of Connie, we're processing tomatoes, and we're gonna, I think you could probably take care of most of the office there, Connie, with that big bowl of salsa.
We're just getting about there with the tomatoes.
I might have to. I will just wait. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining us today. We're all getting really hungry, so we decided we want some of this salsa and maybe some of the tomato juice. We want to thank you for joining us. Again, we've been dealing with an excess of tomatoes today from Connie's garden. These ladies made salsa, and I've been using this Squeezo food mill to process the tomatoes and remove the skins and seeds. So again, thank you for joining us, and we hope you're as lucky as we are to have all of this excess fruit and salsa fresh salsa to enjoy.